Hello, everybody. I trust that you're having a great Heaven on Earth weekend. Thursday night was powerful, Friday night also, and today is going to be fantastic because today we are focusing in on leadership development and personal growth. In just a few moments, Dr. Samuel Chan, the one and only, will be talking to us, and many of you know him and the great work that he does serving churches and organizations across the country and around the world. Such a depth of experience, such keen insight he brings, and I know that today's content will just strengthen you in your leadership and in your personal growth. I want to say a big thank you to Bishop Pitts and the leadership team because just before Doc Chan comes, and they've afforded me the opportunity to speak to you for just a few moments on leading in crisis. I want to jump into it and maybe offer this initial thought. And that is, crisis brings clarity. As we've been going through 2020, and it has been a crazy year, an unusual year, an unpredictable year, I find that as a leader, I've been stretched like I have never been stretched before, challenged like I've never been challenged before, and I trust you're having the same experience as well. But I'm also finding that in the midst of the crisis that I'm gaining clarity on a few things. And so I want to talk to you about how crisis gives us the opportunity to gain new insights, perspective, clarity. And I want to look at this in two areas. I want to look at it organizationally as well as individually. Let's start organizationally. 4 big questions I want to put on the table. These are questions that I think organizations whether it's ministry or marketplace, have to wrestle with as we're going through this time of crisis. I know as a team here, we've been using these 4 questions to help us to move forward during these challenging times. Here's question number 1. It's simply this: what opportunities have you discovered during the crisis so far? I find in crisis that there are 2 kinds of people. There are people that only see obstacles, and there are people who see opportunities. In the midst of crisis, I believe that there are opportunities that emerge. The question we should be asking are, what opportunities have we discovered during this crisis so far? Secondly, is this: what did you used to do that doesn't make sense anymore? Certainly, as the pandemic started, we began to see that we had to do church differently, that we had to do maybe home groups differently. We had to do assimilation differently. We had to do follow-up differently. And so the question is, what did we used to do that doesn't make sense anymore? Maybe our methods and processes and systems, we're finding that in this current context are maybe antiquated or now obsolete. What did we used to do that doesn't make sense anymore? Third question is this: what used to seem important that no longer seems important? Certainly prior to crisis, maybe we felt like there were some things that were non-negotiable. Perhaps we thought church had to be done a certain way. Church services had to last a certain amount of time. Church had to look this way. But now in the midst of crisis, we're beginning to see, you know what? The things that we thought were non-negotiable, the things that we thought were so important, maybe aren't as important as we thought they were. Fourth and final question that I think brings clarity organizationally is this: what does this new context now make possible? Certainly, as we've had to learn how to do church differently, maybe even as we've had to learn how to do business differently, we're finding that this new set of circumstances, this new environment, is giving us the ability to do things that we didn't know we could do before. Maybe it's outreach to our city. Maybe it's online presence in a more effective or excellent way than what we've done before. What does this new context now make possible that we didn't think was possible before? These 4 questions, I think, will help us to gain clarity organizationally. Let's shift now and look at the other side. And that is, crisis brings clarity to us individually. And I think this is so important because to lead an organization well, we have to first lead ourselves well. As a matter of fact, when we learn to lead ourselves better, we will lead others better. Michael Hyatt says it this way. He says, how we lead ourselves in life impacts how we lead those around us. And so I want to offer maybe 4 areas of personal clarity that will help us to lead more effectively in times of crisis. Here's number one. What are my strengths? Every leader is uniquely equipped with talents, gifts, skill set, personality that makes them effective for the assignment that they are called to fulfill. So we all have to figure out what are our strengths. And certainly crisis helps you to get clarity around that. We become ineffective when we think we can do everything. No, there's some things that we are uniquely gifted to do. So a couple of things that we want to do in crisis in this area. Number one, we want to streamline our activity so that we're functioning in our strength zone. And then number two, we want to intentionally compensate for our challenge zone. Everybody has strength zones and challenge zones. And so a couple of ideas around this. Tom Rath says it this way: when we build on our strengths and daily successes instead of focusing on our failures, we simply learn more. So I think the way that we can do that is be honest with ourselves. What am I good at and what am I not so good at? Let me focus on the stuff that I'm good at, and then make sure that I have people and processes in place to help me in the areas that are my challenge zone. Second question or area that we want to gain personal clarity in is our values. It's important in crisis for us to know our values. Values inform our behavior, or our behavior is built upon our values. Values help us to determine in crisis in particular what matters the most. It's values that fuel us to fulfill our purpose. If purpose is a car, then value is the fuel that moves that car. And so we want to know what our values are. Roy Disney said it this way: when your values are clear to you, making decisions becomes easier. When you know what matters the most, when you know what is most important to you, it's easy then to make decisions. How do we figure out what our values are? Here's an exercise. Look at 5 people that you admire and write down the qualities that they possess. Or maybe gather some close friends and ask them, when you see me, what do you think matters the most to me? What is most important to me? And as you compile that list, you can begin to identify what are your values, what are the non-negotiables in your life. Third area is this, when we talk about personal clarity: what are my triggers? Certainly crisis brings pressure, it brings stress, brings anxiety, and sometimes we can find ourselves in situations where we are triggered. You've got to know as a leader, what are my triggers? All of us have had situations where we did not respond optimally or in our best. And so we've got to be very aware. Watch this. What circumstances trigger me? Because there's some circumstances I function better in than others. And what people trigger me? Yeah, there are people that we all know that just have a unique ability, gift, grace to trigger us at moments that are most uncomfortable. And so we want to know what our triggers are. John Maxwell says it this way: life is 10% what happens, 90% how I react to it. People watch how leaders respond and react under pressure or in crisis. So know what your triggers are. Here's the last one. It's simply this: what are my concerns? What are my concerns? The first one was, what are my strengths? The second one, what are my values? The third, what are my triggers? This last one are, what are my concerns? It's important because many times concerns are linked to fears. And in crisis, we don't want to be driven by our fears, but rather we want to be led by our faith. Crisis demands that leaders lead courageously. So as a leader, identify what your concerns are so that you don't become victimized by those, but rather you can conquer those. I love what Aristotle says. He says it this way: he who has overcome his fears will truly be free. These are 4 areas that I believe leaders need to gain personal clarity in. And when we do, we become more effective, we become more efficient, and we become more excellent as leaders. Well, my time is out. I trust that you gained something from these thoughts regarding how crisis can bring clarity organizationally and individually. Well, Bishop Pitts, again, thank you for this opportunity and the leadership team that has made this possible. Right now, we're going to get ready for Dr. Samuel Chan, who's coming in just a few moments. And I want you to lean in because I know the content that he's going to share with us here today is going to increase our leadership capacity and cause us to be more effective during these challenging times that we find ourselves in. God bless you.
Well, it is tough to come up after that great, profound, wise words from Pastor Jeffrey Smith. I want to say thank you, sir, for the impact that you just made, the investment that you just made on our lives right there.
Absolutely. That thought that crisis brings clarity to things.
Every time.
Wow, what an incredible thought. And I think it's so relevant, obviously, for where we are, but in a time when you feel like so much is chaos and maybe so much is moving around you, that in the midst of that, there are some things that become really clear.
Yeah.
And I hope God is bringing so much clarity right where you are through just that incredible leadership that just came to you.
Yeah, and I love that that idea says that crisis doesn't just have to happen, and I don't just have to sit idly by.
Yeah.
That I can still be involved. Even if crisis is going on around me, even if there is chaos around me, I don't have to let that onto the inside of my boat, and I don't just have to let everything happen. That God has made me to be a change agent, and that if I'm smart about it, and if I use strategy that is from God in it, then I can change my situation for His glory.
Absolutely, and I'm thinking about that right there with what Dr. Darius Daniels was talking to us about last night about being a boss in the midst of this situation, about making boss moves in the midst of it. And he said that, we should get a boss talk in our mouth, get a boss speech about what we're doing, that our mountain, we should start talking to it about who our God is, not talking to our God about how bad our problems are. God knows what's going on in your life, but your mountain, your situation, that crisis that you find yourself in needs to hear just who the God that you walk with is. So I hope that the leader in you is just hearing all of how all of that works together. Because I know mine is. I'm so excited right now. I'm like, let's hurry up and get going, because I know that God is just stirring some things in me this morning.
Yeah, it's like that old line that says, don't tell your God how big your mountain is. Tell your mountain how big your God is. Change that perspective and what you're speaking to, and remind yourself the authority that you have through Christ.
Absolutely. And we just have so many more great things that are coming throughout today. I know that Heaven on Earth has already been impacting you and has been speaking into your life. But before we step into everything, we believe that when there is good soil, that we should put seed right there into that soil. And so if God's been speaking to you, if it's been impacting you, first off, I want to ask you to share it, to invite somebody, because Dr. Samuel Chan is coming to us for the rest of this morning. Make sure that they get here. And then the other thing is, I want to encourage you to sow into that soil, to put a gift, to put a seed, to put your finances out in front of what's happening. There are lots of ways that you can do that. Of course, you can text to give. You can jump onto our app and make sure that you are just sowing back into something that has spoken into your life. And we believe that God honors that in really incredible ways.
Yeah, and you can see all the ways that you can do that right now on the screen. We want to make sure that it's as convenient as possible for you to do that. And we're so thankful for your generosity in this, believing that there is great things that God is getting ready to do through your life because of the generosity here in the house. And we are so excited to be coming to you with the rest of what Heaven on Earth is. Night 1 was amazing. Night 2 was incredible. And then day 3 right here, we are so excited about it. So right now, it is a Saturday morning on the East Coast, and you might be in a different time zone, but we right here on the East Coast, we're starting our day with coffee. We're starting our day with leadership. We believe that God has great principles. I'm kind of like an Arabica bean kind of guy. I don't know what you do. Arabica.
You don't even know what that means.
Well, it just kind of rolls from the tongue a little bit, right? Arabica beans, right? It sounds real fancy and posh, but anyway,
do you know what's coming right now?
What is it?
We have a story from one of our CGN churches. And last night, Dr. Daniels was talking about how a miracle is a moment where God steps in and does what we can't do, what only He can do. And we have an incredible story from one of our CGN churches in Mexico about God doing the miraculous that you are getting ready to hear from. I know that it's going to touch you. It's going to move you, because God is a moving, working, powerful God.
Yes, He is.
And we want you to experience Heaven on Earth right where you are.
Hello everybody, hope you are doing great. We wish we could be there in Toledo, Ohio for Heaven on Earth conference, but this year is not gonna be possible. And we want to take a moment to share with you all the things that God is doing here in Mexico and with the network. Even when we cannot be there, we want to let you know that God is doing some great things here.
Yeah, as my wife is saying, one of the things that's happening here in Mexico and all the pastors of Latin America, we decided to start having 40 days of fasting and pray. And in those 40 days, every 5 days at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're taking 1 hour all together to pray in tongues in Spanish, to pray for all what is happening, to pray for you, from Bishop, from Pastor Kathy, all the pastors of the network globally. And we really love you, we miss you. And we want to share that some of the things that happen, we realize there is power, even though we are doing it through these chats and Zoom meetings. God can do miracles. And this is what happened with us in this few days ago, our first day of praying. One of our pastors, a lady, who are very involved with her husband in these pro-life movements, was giving a declaration in front of the courthouse in downtown with a multitude of people. But right after, the next day, she lost her voice.
Yeah.
She couldn't speak. There was no voice. For 3 months, she couldn't do it. Of course, she went to the doctors, specialist in all the things about voice, lungs, and everything. The best in the city checked on her, and they said, "We don't know what's going on with you, what happened with you. You just cannot talk. There's no reason. You have everything, it's okay with you." So we realized that it was an attack of the enemy. So we started praying all together. That day was incredible. We just prayed in tongues. Right after that, God moved my heart to speak a word over her, to pray for her. And we keep praying. Like around 2 minutes after that, we could hear her screaming, and he screamed, "I can speak again." You will see the video because we recorded for you, and I hope you can enjoy it.
Quiero pedirte, Yukari, que pongas tu mano en tu garganta, por favor. Quiero pedirles que extiendan su mano, como si estuvieran tocando la garganta de Yukari. La garganta es el instrumento, pero la voz es la dinamita, Señor, que pusiste en ella para este tiempo, para este terreno, para este lugar de guerra, para este lugar de combate. En el nombre de Jesús, células afectadas, séquense en el nombre de Jesús. Células sanas, reproduzcanse aceleradamente sobre su garganta. Sistema respiratorio, toma tu lugar, toma tu fuerza, toma tu funcionamiento al 100% en el nombre de Jesús.
La voz de mi esposa acaba de regresar después de 3 meses de manera milagrosa en momento.
¡Oh, no lo puedo creer! ¡Estoy hablando! Dios, hace 1 hora al momento de orar no podía ni levantar mi voz y estoy hablando.
Well, as you saw, it was a miracle. God is doing something. You are our family. We are praying for you. All the Cornerstone Network in the world are our family. And we learn from Bishop in Cornerstone Church that there is power when we can be as one. And we just want to say to you that we love you. Forgive my English. We love you. We miss you. We really wish to be there to see you face to face, but we believe that soon we're going to be able to do it. So in the meantime, enjoy this Heaven on Earth, that it's been great, and it will be a blessing for all the network. God bless you. We send to all of you our loves, and see you soon.
We hope to see you soon. Take care and be safe.
Bye-bye.
Hello, everybody. We are here in Mexico, in Cornerstone, Pachuca. It's such a great honor for us to lead worship with you today. So I'm going to invite you to stand up, lift your hands, and worship with us today.
Your blood
strength in you. His face shine upon you and be great.
His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. Te cubra con su gracia hasta 1000 generaciones, tu familia y tus hijos y los hijos de tus hijos. Su presencia te acompañe donde quiera que tú vayas, que te lleve, te rodee, va contigo de mañana y de noche, en tu entrada y salida, en tu llanto y alegría. Él te ama, 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 Él te May His favor be upon you. Come on, sing it out. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, for your family, and your children, and your children, and your children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, for your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. Que te cubra con su gracia hasta 1000 generaciones, tu familia y tus hijos y los hijos de tus hijos. Tu presencia te acompañe donde quiera que tú vayas, que te lleve, te rodee, va contigo de mañana y de noche, en tu entrada y salida, en tu llanto y alegría. Él te ama, 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 Él te Come on, sing it over your family.
Heaven on earth. The 2020 heaven on earth is unique, isn't it? We're not together. We're not on the same roof. We are not sitting next to each other. We're not hanging out together. We are not doing the kind of things that we have become used to. And yet, I think the opportunities are not the same. The opportunities are greater. And so I want to thank Bishop Michael Pitts and Pastor Kathy Pitts and Pastor Phil and Pastor Meredith for not backing off, but moving forward, because we have provisions such as this to come to you and to share what is on our heart. I want to thank Bishop Michael Pitts for inviting me one more time to Heaven on Earth, and it's a joy and an honor to serve you. So he said to me, you can speak as long as you want to, but we'll cut you off at 30 minutes. Now they can do that. It's just a button away. So I'm going to try to do that, so let's roll with that. All of you who know me know that I travel different parts of the world. I consult with mega church leaders and medium-sized churches and some corporations. I've been doing it for over 30 years now in some way, shape, or manner or form. I've been doing this full-time now for almost 20 years. So in the mix of all of that, I became a student of people. I'm a student of systems and structures. I'm a student of processes and products. I'm a student of all those things. But remember, one of my books that many of you have read is simply called Who's Holding Your Ladder? And I became a student of people. And I've been observing people with simple questions like, how did we get here? Simple questions like, why do some do and some don't? Why do some succeed and some don't? Why do some go higher? Why do some stagnate? Why some never rise beyond mediocrity? Why is it that some people have a longer runway and for some people it was a shorter runway? The question is, how did we get to where we are? How did Michael Pitts get to be who he is? How did I get invited to this? How did the other speakers get invited to Heaven on Earth 2020? How did that happen? How does somebody move from point A to point B? And after all those years, I figured it out. Ended up writing a book called Sequence to Success, in which I talk about the 3 O's that are part of somebody's life. 3 O's that take you from where you are to where you're going to go. Sequence to success. Here we go. O, O, O. You ready? Let me write this out for you, then unpack that for you. The first one is observation. Observation. The second one is opinions. And the third one is opportunities. Opportunities. Number 1, number 2, number 3. If you're looking at the trajectory there, it will go from observation to opinions, and from opinions, it goes to opportunities. 1, 2, 3. Let's talk about that. All of life. Now, please hear me when I say all. Capital L, bolded, italicized, underlined, highlighted. All of life, in the physical and the natural, I'm not talking about the supernatural right now, all of life is built around these 3 words. Somebody observes you, somebody forms an opinion, and somebody gives an opportunity. You will never have an opportunity unless their opinion of you is high enough. And their opinion is formed on their observations of you. You walk into a room, somebody observes you. There's a camera on you everywhere you go. There's a camera on you at home. There's a camera on you when you go into the grocery store. There's a camera on you if you walk into church. There's a camera on you if you walk into an office. I'm talking about somebody somewhere is always observing you. You cannot get away from observations. It is because of our observations that we get the kind of opportunities, because they are based on opinions. So in the next few minutes, I just want to talk about those simple words as to what do our observations look like, what do our opinions look like, and what do our opportunities look like. Because I said to myself, Sam, how did you get here? How does anybody get here? Why are you watching this? Let me tell you why you are part of Heaven on Earth 2020. Somewhere down the road, you observed Bishop Michael Pitts. You formed an opinion about Bishop Michael Pitts. And now you are giving Heaven on Earth 2020 time, resources, attention with your opportunities. So how does that happen? So when you walk into a room, when people are observing you, what are they observing about you? Let me give you a few of those things, observations. The first thing that people observe about anybody is their attitude. The first thing anybody observes about you is your attitude. People will meet your attitude. Let me say it another way. You will meet somebody else's attitude before you'll meet them. An attitude of a room is measured by, sometimes set by, the person with the worst attitude. Have you not noticed that? You could be hilariously having a good time, 5, 6 of you just hanging out, and then that person walks in, and as soon as that person walks in, they walk in with their attitude, and guess what happens? It just goes down. Because this is what I've found, that negative, pessimistic attitudes will overpower a bunch of hilariously happy people. Happens at Thanksgiving in your house, doesn't it? You're having a good time till that person drives up, and guess what happens to all the conversation? Ooh, attitude. So what attitude are you carrying on? See, bad attitudes are like bad breath. Bad attitudes are like bad breath. Everybody knows you got bad breath except you. Attitude. Second thing is, not necessarily second, but second in line, is people observe whether you are prepared. People know when you come to a meeting prepared. People know when the preacher is prepared. People know when your host is prepared, if they invited you to their home. People know when a party is prepared, if the party planner has done their work. Preparation. How prepared are you? Because see, preparation is different from planning. Planning is tactical. Who, when, where, what, how, when. Preparation is about the what and the why. For example, you ask me, so Sam, how long did it take you to plan what you're going to teach us? I would say it took about 2, maybe 3 hours of planning. How long did it take you to prepare it? About 45 years. Because see, when you bring preparation, you're bringing yourself to the table. It's been interesting to me how so many people can come to a table, come to a meeting and never bring themselves to it. They like to hang back. They want others to go first. Whenever they do say something, they say it with all kinds of disclaimers. And I'm saying to you, bring yourself, because you bring your preparation to the table. The next one, number 3, is understanding. People observe if you have understanding of the subject, understanding of the context, understanding of what is actually wanting to be achieved, understanding of the vision. You know, a lot of people can regurgitate the vision statement and the mission statement and the purpose statement, but they don't know the real crux, the real meat, the real substance, understanding. Number 4 is the ability to articulate, to communicate, to be able to skillfully do that. So, for example, when I watch someone like Bishop Michael Pitts preach, even if I've never heard him preach before, immediately it tells me, my observation says, not only is he skillful, but he has worked hard at honing that skill and his style of presentation and how he is not a helicopter in his preaching. He's really a 747. He needs a longer runway just to get to where he is going. But that is his communication style. And it is an inviting communication style. You know why? Because it is his communication style. Number 5 is solutions. People who bring solutions. People observe whether you just can name the problem and analyze the problem, but people can also observe if you bring solutions. You see, the world belongs to solutions. In the world we're living in, everybody's looking for a solution. People are getting rich during this time who are bringing solutions. I just the other day was reading as to different things, and you know, right now our world is being overpopulated with masks, overpopulated masks. So question becomes, what do we do with all these masks that are being thrown away? And I read an article just the other day about how there's a company that has formed to take masks and turn them into fuel. Now, I don't know how all that works, but somebody is saying there's a stockpile of millions upon millions of face masks right now. What are we going to do with those? Just put them in landfill? Somebody says, no, let's figure out if we can make something out of that. The world belongs to solutions. Everything that you own, everything that you wear, everything that you drive, at one time was a problem, but somebody came up with a solution. We used to walk, and then rode a donkey, and then rode a horse, and then the horse started pulling a wagon, and the wagon needed wheels, and the wheels turned into something else, something else, something else, and now you are driving cars. Because every problem, listen to me now, every problem gets monetized. Every problem gets monetized. This microphone I'm wearing on my lapel, the lapel itself, my shirt, this whiteboard, markers, all of that at one time used to be a problem, used to be a need. But somebody says there's got to be a solution for that, a solution for that. So when you sit at the table, are you a solution person, or you say, could I be the devil's advocate? You know what I feel like saying when someone says at the table? No, don't be a devil's advocate, just be the devil. Anyone can be a devil's advocate. Anyone can say, well, on the other hand. What do you mean by the other hand? Let's find a solution. Let me give you the next one. People who have, people observe that they can trust you. People observe how can trust you. See, all human interaction is based on trust. It is the glue that holds relationships together. It is, when that is missing, when there's no trust, relationships go away. So what is trust? Let me give you Sam Chan's definition of trust. My definition of trust is, it is a feeling. It is a feeling based on repeated reality. It is a feeling based on repeated reality. Have you ever been calling somebody and you, even as you're trying to leave them a message, you're saying they'll never listen to the message, they never call me back. Even as you're texting them, they say, it'll be 2 days before they get back with me. And the feeling that goes with, oh, they're always going to be late. Or, you know, I don't mind loaning them money, but they're never going to pay me back. It's a feeling. It's not a fact. Because it fluctuates during the day. It fluctuates during lifetimes. People you used to trust, you don't trust anymore. People who are not even in your radar 3 months ago, you're trusting them a whole lot right now. It is a feeling based on repeated reality. So when trust is high, speed is high, things get faster, cost is low, and everything costs less. Time, attention, money, everything costs low. But when trust is low, cost is high, things cost more meetings, more time, more decision making, more decisions about decisions, and speed is slow. Trust. So people can observe if they can trust you. And how does trust happen? It happens incrementally. So trust is a fragile commodity, a very fragile commodity. So what happens with trust? It takes a lifetime to build it, 30 seconds to destroy it. I've seen that again. No, let me say it again. You have seen it again and again. A lifetime to build trust, high. 30 seconds, bam, trust destroyed, fragmented into smithereens. People can observe because when they trust you, they have higher opinion of you. They give you opportunities. You know, one of the things I hear a lot about myself is, I trust you. Not that you're smart, not that you can help me, but I can trust you. You know why they can trust me? Because for over 3 decades, I have worked hard at not betraying somebody's trust. When somebody gives you trust, they're giving you the most fragile portion of their life. People can observe if they can trust you. When you say you're going to be there, are you going to be there? When you say you're going to return the phone call, are you going to do that? When you say I'll send you an email, are you going to do that? When you say you're going to be there at 8 o'clock, are you there at 8 o'clock? That's how trust is built. When you say, I will pay you back, do you pay them back? When you say, I'll show up for heaven and earth, I'll register for it, I'll pay for it, do you do that? I will bring my entire church to it. It is how you are trusted. Let me just give you 1 or 2 more. Creative thinking. Creative thinking. People observe if you're a creative thinker. But creativity happens in an environment where there's no fear of reprisal, no fear of mockery, no fear of somebody saying, that's a stupid idea. No fear of being put down. But you'll have champions around the table who say, that's a good idea, let's make that great. You got something there. Let's work on that. It's got great possibilities. Creative thinking. So you create an atmosphere for creative thinking. So, why are you on line right now? Simply because you trust Bishop Michael Pitts. You observed, you found an opinion, opportunities. Let's talk about opinions. Now, opinions, has anybody had a bad opinion of you? Or no, let me say again. Has anybody had a wrong opinion of you? A wrong opinion of you. They thought this, but you know it was not that. I got a call not long ago from a pastor of a very large church in which he had got some hate mail on Facebook. You know how hate travels. Hate has a lot of friends. Haters are very influential. And he picked up the phone, called me, and he was irate. He said, I've been their pastor for all these years. I visited them in hospitals. I paid their rent. I bought them groceries. I took care of their kids. I bailed out their son at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been there when they were going through a divorce. I put Humpty Dumpty back together by God's grace. And now they're saying this. How could they? Opinions. Opinions can be very harmful. Have you not noticed how quickly people form opinions? And how difficult it is for people to change opinions? And how easily people share opinions? I mean, what is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, whatever it might be? I mean, what are people doing on that? There's nothing but opinions. Anymore, you don't get pure news. You get somebody's editorialized opinions. What the company is trying to say to you is not even the person. Opinions. And then, have you not noticed how difficult it is to change our opinion? Because opinions do 4 things. Opinions do 4 things. You ready? Opinions can promote, demote, stagnate, or terminate. You like my sign language? Here we go. Opinions do 4 things. Promote, demote, stagnate, terminate. You will get promoted because of somebody's opinion. Your boss thinks you can do better. Your church will grow because more people have higher opinion of you. You'll make more money because somebody thinks you ought to be paid more. It is opinions. You know, when people say, well, I don't care what people think. I'm telling you, you'd better start caring, because all of your life is going to be about that. They promote, demote, stagnate. Have you noticed there are some people who are the same yesterday, today, and forever? They stagnate, not going anywhere in life. They don't help you, they don't hurt you, they're just neutral. If they were not in your organization tomorrow, you would not miss them. I ask this question again and again because over 3 decades of doing my work, I've helped churches fire probably a few thousand people by now. And my question is always the same about 3 months later. So she is gone. So he is gone. What is not getting done? And do you know, 100% of the time, I get the same answer. Everything's still getting done. So why were they there? Just to have a bad attitude, I guess. Stagnate and terminate. Terminate. Have you ever been fired? Have you ever been fired from a job? I've been fired twice. One was in 1974. Actually, 1973. I had just come to America from India, and my first job was at a church in the daycare center. So in the afternoon, I was supposed to be out with the kids when they were on the playground playing, and on this afternoon, I was not there, and little Johnny fell off the swing and broke his arm, came in, my arm is broke. I mean, yeah, why are you acting like you're the first kid with a broken arm? Go tie it up, play out there. Well, they called me and let me go. The second time I was fired was from Goodwill. The thrift store. Goodwill. Can I tell you something? I wear the badge of honor. Who gets fired from Goodwill? I got fired from Goodwill. I was working in the men's pants department, high-tech job, and all I had to do, I had a measuring tape, some masking tape, and a felt marker. And all I had to do was to measure the inseam, measure the waist, put a little piece of masking tape on the belt side, and with a felt marker write down the size of the pen, 34 times 30, 30 times 30, or whatever it was. Well, after doing that high-tech job for a whole week, I got so good, I did not need a measuring tape. And guess what happened there? I got fired. Because see, somebody else's opinion, your opinion will do those 4 things. It'll promote, demote, stagnate, or terminate. That's what opinions do. But let's talk about opportunities just for a few minutes. All your opportunities come in 2 phases as a leader, 2 phases. We all start as a functional leader and end up as an organizational leader. We all start working as a functional leader, you work with things and projects. As an organizational leader, you work with people. I remember in my college days, 1973 through 1977, I was a janitor at the college. So, and breakfast cook and dishwasher. So every morning I'd get up at 4 o'clock, cook breakfast for the Americans. They'd come and eat. I'd wash their dishes, be done by 8 o'clock, and then go to classes at 8:30. Then go to classes. After that, there'll be lunch. And after lunch, I'd put on my janitor stuff and become a janitor, sweep sidewalks, plunge toilets, paint walls, whatever needed to be done. But I was a functional leader. I was working with things. But then somebody came by. They observed me, they formed an opinion, and gave me an opportunity to lead people. How many of you know, when you move from projects to people, you have jumped over the Grand Canyon? Because see, my mop and my broom and my vacuum cleaner and my rake and my shovel and my plunger never gave me a bad attitude. I didn't have to schedule them. They were there ready to work at any time. I didn't have to work through drama of any nature. No attitudes were coming from them. They were always available as long as I was working with things, with projects. But then when I'm working with people, all of a sudden, now I have people and their issues and their drama and their attitudes to deal with. I've seen singers, for example, she used to sing really good. You know, she was the second one with the microphone. You know, she sang good. She showed up on time, had a great attitude, carried a tune, got along with people. Everything was going along for her. And then one day the pastor said to her, hey, listen, we would like to ask you if you'll be in charge of our worship and arts department. We'd like for you to lead our choir. We'd like for you to lead our worship department. Wow. You have taken her from being a functional leader to now being an organizational leader. And as an organizational leader, she's got to schedule rehearsals. She's got to work with musicians, and you know how they are. She's got to work with the sound people. She's got to work with the lighting people. She's got to work with the pastor, and you know how they are. She's got to work with the timing, how many minutes it's got to be. She's got to work on the cadence. She's got to do all the planning. She's got to get there ahead of time. She's got to be there after everyone leaves. She's got to deal with last-minute changes. Your lead singer got sick that morning, and now all of a sudden everything is thrown off. So she has to deal with people. All of a sudden, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a challenge that becomes all of a sudden, huh? From functional to organizational. I want to say to you, be careful how quickly you give somebody opportunity, because not everybody who works in the IT department can lead your IT. Not everybody who sings, not everyone who plays an instrument can lead your worship and arts department. Just because someone can do something doesn't mean that they can also lead something. So let me conclude my time with you. In case you are interested, I've been teaching you out of this book called The Sequence to Success. This is available on Amazon, anywhere you want to get it from. Sequence to Success, the 3 O's, that'll take you anywhere in life. So this is what I want to say to you. Your future depends on what people are observing, their opinions, and the opportunities. Your future is dependent on other people. And even more importantly, somebody else's future is dependent on your observation, your opinions, and the opportunity to give them. You hold the key to somebody else's life, and somebody else holds the key to your life. It will be an amazing opportunity for you to, when you are talking to your teams, your staffs, if you just take the simple teaching. In fact, if you'll get each one of your leaders the simple book, The Sequence to Success, it comes with a workbook. I got a master class on this, and I know that this simply will allow people, when they walk into the room, be cognizant of the fact, saying, what are people observing about me? What are their opinions? How can I change their opinion? How can they have a better opinion? You know why I'm not getting the opportunities? Because I got to have better things for people to observe. I got to start working here before I can go up there. Everybody wants to go up there, but really it all starts over here. Sequence to success: what people observe, their opinions, and the opportunities. Before I leave you, I'm going to leave everybody with a gift. Everybody with a gift. So during these days, I launched something new. Fact of the matter is, remember the shutdown in America happened somewhere in March or 2020? I launched this book and the master class with that in April of 2020. When everything was at peak shutting down, I'm launching a book. And also in April, why not, you know? In April, I launched a new magazine, a leadership journal called Avail. It is over 100 pages, full color. You can get 4 issues of this free of charge. It's a quarterly magazine. It's a quarterly magazine, over 100 pages, full color magazine. It's all kinds of leadership in it. You can have it. Your entire church can have it. I'm going to tell you that. If you've got 10,000 people in your church, all 10,000 can have their own copy mailed to them in the United States. If you're watching me overseas right now, because I know there are Bishop Michael Pitt's reach is in all over the world, and you are watching me outside the United States, you can still get this magazine, only it will be a digitized version of it. You can read the entire thing on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer, however you get your electronic digital, and it will be free for the next 4 issues. How do you get that? You go to availjournal.com. Avail, A-V-A-I-L, journal, Journal.com. Availjournal.com. When you go there, it's simply going to ask you for your mailing or email information. You put that in there, and it'll be available to you. Availjournal.com. Full color, leadership, free for you and the entire church that you might be serving at. Bishop Michael Pitts, thank you for your observations of Sam Chand. Thank you that your opinion was high enough to give me the opportunity to come to the people who hold you in the highest esteem and say to you, Heaven on Earth 2020 is going to be the best ever. God bless you and all that you lead.